When I went to elementary school, everyone was obsessed with New Kids on the Block. I'm like, I'm taller than Joey McIntyre. Like, why don't girls like me? And I wasn't really social because I was a really heavy kid. So I just kind of went towards the girls because the girls were nice to me. And I never thought there was anything wrong with liking girls until, of course, society clicks in many years later. I told my sister that I was gay when I was 14. I remember sitting with her in the living room saying, Audrey, I'm a lesbian. And she was like, awesome, which is like the best reaction you could ever expect. And then I went on to date girls and boys in high school. And then I remember walking into the girls' locker room because I played volleyball, and I had just been holding my girlfriend's hand and my boyfriend's hand because I had both, because I was such an awesome, cool kid back then. I don't know what's wrong with me. I was so open. And one of the girls on the volleyball team told me that there was rumors about me that I was gay. And I was like, yeah, like I just didn't get it. I hadn't announced to anybody in school or any of my friends, but I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, you can't be gay. Like, why are you in the locker room here? So I just kind of shut down and I kept it to myself. So I still saw girls, but I went to the prom with a boy, a friend, 2 years in a row. And I didn't tell my parents until I was 20 years old, living in New York, had a girlfriend of over 2 years. And finally I was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. And she goes, what, are you gay like your sister? My sister's gay too. And that was my big coming out. And my stepdad didn't care at all. He was like, okay, pass the butter. He just did not care. And then my mom, she made it really dramatic for no reason, because she loves to do that. And she was like, you're not like me. Why don't you want to be like me and marry a guy? I'm like, Dad's bald. Like, why do I want to marry a bald guy? He's very nice, but he's bald. And it took her a little time to warm up. And whenever I would break up with a girlfriend, she'd always go, are you going to date guys again? I was like, no, I'm not going to date guys. But she has come around, and I could not ask for a more supportive family and friend group, and even the neighbors that I grew up in Connecticut. And in a way, I was lucky. I was kind of an outsider growing up. I was a very heavy kid. I weighed 200 pounds when I was 12 years old, so I didn't really have a lot of friends. So I hung out with a lot of older people, or like my family, that kind of thing. And I just kind of started listening and paying attention to like the world, rather than like, oh, New Kids on the Block and who has the best trapper keeper. That was never my world. It was always kind of like bigger and better, and learning how to fix myself and be aware. So when it was time to like discover sexuality and come into high school, everyone started having boyfriends and girlfriends, all of a sudden that's when I lost my weight. And I had already built myself as like a very communicative child. I was a very like little adult. So when I went into things, and people had been attacking me for so many years for being fat and for being, whatever else was wrong with me. So now all of a sudden they weren't going to tell me that I was wrong for being gay, or there was anything wrong with me, for anything that I did, because bring it on. I had already been teased and taunted and made fun of, and I was like, nope, this is who I am. When I realized finally I am gay, I'm a lesbian, I never looked back. No shame, no questioning. I was like, okay. And I always say that being gay is the best part of my life. It's something that I know. I know that I'm gay. I will be gay tomorrow. I better be. My wife would kill me if I wasn't. I'm laughing at this question. I identify as a lesbian. I've always identified as a lesbian. I've never, even when I like in high school and I dated guys, I never said I was bisexual. I've always said I was a lesbian. And I think it's really interesting that we're in this place right now in 2009 that people are choosing not to identify. And of course it's your choice. But for me, I know that visibility matters. That's the website I work for, AfterEllen.com, always says visibility matters. And it does, because anybody that comes out as bi or gay or trans or lesbian, people, younger people or even older people are like, wow, they identify with them. It's very, very important for us to show that we're different, and that's okay. And there's power in numbers. So when people go, I don't need to identify, no, you don't need to identify. But I think it strengthens our community when you do identify as something. I think obviously coming out is different for everybody. But what you have to realize, I've lost friends from coming out. You have to realize that if these people don't love you for you, all of you, then they never will. So you don't have to change yourself and try to make them happy. So even though it hurts at the time, it's like any other breakup. Sometimes you get distant from your family or friends. I'm not telling anybody to become homeless because, their family is extremist in some way, or really religious and, whatever. I don't want anyone to go that far, but it's okay if people react in a way that you're not expecting them to. You will get through it, and the more open and out you are, the more people will come around you and surround you and give you love. I mean, we have a huge LGBTQ community. And it keeps growing every day, and that's why I think coming out is a really important thing. And anybody wants to come out, I always say just do it now, do it like a Band-Aid, and things will immediately start getting better. I think the one big issue when everyone talks about coming out is that I think some people believe that there is a straight box and a gay box, and there isn't. Obviously, the Kinsey scale, or we're a big rainbow of people. I mean, even just identify being like, I'm not solely straight, I'm open to loving numerous people or getting to know about myself is fine. I think what it comes down to is when people try to pretend that they only like one sex to please other people. You have to please yourself. You have to make yourself happy. And I understand that, like, society, the majority of this world are straight people, and you're supposed to get married and have kids and do all these things, and you know what? Not everybody fits in that box, and that's okay. There's lesbians that have kids, and there's gay men that have kids, and we are growing and changing right now, and why don't you be part of it? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's your life and nobody else's. Come be gay like me.